Here's a piece of news that we talked about more than 6 months ago, and it kind of like fell onto the wayside, and we didn't talk much about it. No news surfaced, and we had no idea what was the future of this very vague news that came from WizKids. WizKids, for people that don't know, is a miniature company that was originally owned by Topps way back in the day, and then they kind of went bankrupt for a bit, and then NECA bought them out, and then since NECA bought them out, has been doing fairly well with a lot of different IPs that they do their stuff. They do like the miniature thing, which is a lot of tabletop gaming and that stuff similar to like HeroClix, which was something that WizKid was also connected to. Now, WizKids at the moment, when it comes to IPs that they do a lot of different stuff in relation to the Hasbro family. That of, let's say, the Marvel stuff that Hasbro also does stuff with all the Marvel Legends. At one point when Marvel was doing stuff with Street Fighter, so the Street Fighter brand, which again Hasbro has had a history with, Dungeons and Dragons, which falls under Hasbro through Wizards of the Coast. They have a lot of connections with Hasbro and have done stuff in the past with Hasbro, even like some of the weird stuff like NASCAR, which Hasbro at one point did a line of toys with that. That being said, WizKid has just this close history with Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, which is a company owned by Hasbro. And they've showed interest, and again, this was more than 6 months ago when we discussed this, they showed interest in doing miniatures in a gaming kind of environment for Transformers, G.I. Joe, and My Little Pony. And they just kind of talked about it very, lightly, and nothing ever came of it, and we never learned anything more of it. Now, just recently, there was an announcement from PhDgames.com giving us our first look at WizKids Generation 1 Transformers Deep Cut Unpainted miniatures. So what are these deep cuts versions, essentially? Well, most miniatures, if you've been someone who's been doing the miniature thing, and whether it be, whether it be Ironclad or D&D, or let's say even like the likes of the Magic the Gathering ones, sometimes miniatures come unpainted, and it's kind of a part of the hobby where you paint it how you like it and stuff like that, and there's a whole subculture with that. And these first Transformer ones that they want to put out there are going to be part of what's called their Deep Cuts line, which are unpainted miniatures. And they have one of Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Megatron, and Starscream. Again, no surprise with the choice of characters. We're always going to go with what I call the Legendary 7. When you talk in Generation 1, you got to go with Optimus Prime, you got to go with Bumblebee, you got to go with Grimlock, you got to go with Starscream, you got to go with Megatron, you got to go with Soundwave, and you got to go with Devastator. Those are the most iconic, well-known, even back in like 2002, if you asked a guy who remembered anything about Transformers, they were going to probably remember someone from those Legendary 7. And these deep cuts versions are unpainted versions of those 4 characters, and they say that they're going to come with stickers and decals to help complete the look, so probably like Autobot and Decepticon logos. But otherwise, it encourages people to then create and customize their own characters using these as pretty much basis. And I mean, well, let's look here. So Optimus Prime, you can make an Ultra Magnus, you can make a powered convoy, you can make Golden Lagoon Prime, you can make, even a being in all gray. If you don't paint it at all, it's dead Optimus pretty much, or a blackish gray anyhow. When you go to say Megatron, there's not many. You could do Megaplex, you could do maybe a gold version. There's not many repaints with that one, a black Megatron. Starscream, well, that's all the Seeker Jets right there. And Bumblebee, you could have red Bumblebee, aka kind of a cliff jumper. You could have Glyph, you could have Tap Out, you could have Bug Bite. So those are characters that, I mean, already, and if you want to paint them, you have a whole set of people right there. And I'm pretty sure the customizers and repainters in the Transformer community are going to dig this, and especially people who play miniatures and paint their own miniatures. I know Pia, fellow podcast dude and toy reviewer, Pia's been posting a lot of miniatures that he's been working on and stuff like that. So, and he's been painting too. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be pretty stoked for this. So the planned thing with this is that they're going to be expected at an economic cost of $4.99 each, which is pretty cool, and are planned to be released at December at the end of this year. And they say here, and this is an interesting, for fans that may not be so good with painting, they plan to have WizKids indoor painting experiences. I have no idea where something like this would be done. Maybe in a local LGS, local game store, they might have some representatives or distributors. But I mean, we're not talking like, small town USA. We're probably talking like New York City, LA. So I don't know about that. But the point is that it's something that is an interesting piece of lore and history from a Transformer side of things, because Transformers tried to get into the miniature game years ago with the Tactics in 2006. Lasted a year, didn't do well. A lot of stuff actually, just never happened. And there was plans to do G1 Tactics, but by the time the G1 Tactics reached like the final test shot stages and everything got canceled. And Prowl, Optimus Prime, Megatron, they were shown in prototypes at BotCon, but nothing ever got publicly released. So this is our first like true Generation 1 miniatures, and there's no game tied to it yet, but it's something that in the future I'm sure is going to be visited, because again, WizKids is known for their board game stuff. Again, they created HeroClix, even currently with Magic the Gathering on the Hasbro side of things and Wizards of the Coast. They did Heroes of Dominaria, which was this big board game with all kinds of little WizKids figures. So I'm pretty sure this could lead to something else in the future. There's probably going to be more to this outside of these just unpainted figures. And if anything, and I don't want to encourage it, but I'm pretty sure probably after this initial run of these deep cuts unpainted miniatures, we might probably get full color versions later on at a higher price point, because I've seen that in the past where a lot of times they have unpainted figures and then down the line they release them factory painted. And factory painted, I'm going to say this right now, and I own some WizKids stuff from their Magic side. Not the best painted stuff, but what do you expect for the price point and the size? But I mean, factory painted stuff is what it is. Maybe it'll look nicer with Transformer characters because of, the simpler details, like a mouthpiece rather than like, a detailed mouth and stuff like that. Flatter surfaces and everything. But I'm kind of excited about this. This is something that barks up my alley of stuff I collect. And again, I always like economical stuff too. It doesn't take a lot of space, and doesn't cost a lot, So, hey, it's something I don't mind picking up a couple of these, having them on display near the computer or something. And if there's a game that comes of it, well, all the better. I mean, right now we have the Transformers TCG with Wizards of the Coast. So if WizKids on the side wants to also do something, which they've worked with Wizards of the Coast and the Magic brand, if they want to do something with Transformers and the TCG brand, hey, all the better. That'd be cool to get a Transformer board game. For the longest time, the best Transformers board game, and I still say it to this very day, and I will still play it to this very day, and I know this is going to sound crazy, go out of your way and play the Transformers Armada board game. What an amazing, fun, customizing board game that is. But not since the Transformers Armada board game has there been anything Transformer related that's been board games that really catch my eye. I mean, yeah, there's a Transformers Risk version. I played that for a bit and has like shifting Cybertronian surfaces. And there's Transformers Monopoly, and there's Transformers, versions of like of chess and stuff like that. But I mean, the true original board games in relation to Transformers, there really hasn't been any good ones. I mean, there wasn't back in the day with Generation 1, and there was the Beast Wars mutating card game, and there was a lot of weird stuff like that. But really, the Armada board game was the last time it was any good. And so if they do some cool new board game, I'm really down for that. And these miniatures look great. They look great for what they are. And I mean, anyone who's familiar with WizKid and their miniatures, they are what they are, and they look really cool. So I look forward to seeing more from them and what they'll possibly do with the IP. So let me know what you think about this.